Ging relies on one hidden skill that makes him one of the strongest Nen users out there, and it's that he knows a secret about the power system that nobody else seems to. The basic principle behind Hatsu that most of the other Hunter x Hunter characters do seem to understand is that it stems from brain activity. Nen is the raw life energy that fuels and reinforces functions of the body, but just like how it's normally meant to be spent to empower the body's vital systems with its various effects, and it's only the unused excess that leaks out, people design Hatsu to convert their raw energy into those effects on command through mental exercises. A Nen ability is a circuit they form in their brain that converts raw aura and uses it up so it doesn't hang loose, similar to curse techniques. Conjurers do visualization training until they can internally emulate the types of items they want to be able to summon. Manipulators can more easily design powers that are used through objects they're attached to, and enhancers can draw from the mental skills for the basic training they've already learned to tap into their category's straightforward effect. Characters have additional affinities for abilities that tie into mental skills they already have, and are put into categories for the effects of Nen energy that are easier to bring forth with the ways that they think. And Ging has always had a gift for seeing the bigger picture. He's naturally in tune with nature, just like Gon, but whereas Gon developed the skills of a resilient wild animal, Ging developed to have more insight into the world itself. He can read people and figure out the core ideas behind something almost instantly. That combination of insight and being grounded in nature gives him a natural talent for fights. So if he's brawling against a brawler Hatsu, because he can naturally guess how it functions and get a sense of what thought processes the user had behind making it, if he can immerse his senses in the ability by experiencing an attack from it firsthand, these talents give him the affinities to replicate it right away. Almost like his way of thinking creates a template, so he doesn't have to waste brain capacity or put in effort to design any brawler-based powers for himself. But what makes him especially dangerous seems to be a specific piece of knowledge he was able to obtain with those talents, and it fits with how he's able to pick up those Hatsu in the first place. Ging can connect dots and thinks in ways that other people don't, and you can see it both in how he designs Hatsu and how he uses the Nen programming language. So if Ging has a knack for getting the bigger picture, he might have realized how the mechanics of the power system are tied to a core theme that we can see throughout the story. Hunter x Hunter started in the 90s and was meant to build on the popular concepts of Dragon Ball, which had been very successful. While Dragon Ball had life energy, the overall key system was meant to reflect a message of training and working hard to improve yourself. You raise your stamina to generate excess life energy and then channel it to hit people as physical attacks. That's the main form of combat. You hit them with your raw life energy in such plentiful amounts it destroys mountains. And in line with the message, by increasing your life energy further, it's like you're passively elevating your tier of being. You can learn techniques to scale up how far you travel, and the base strength of each of your children depends on how far you've come. So building on the lessons from that story, but with something that's overdone now because this was a pioneer back in the 90s, Hunter x Hunter said to not undervalue intellect, as it can rival the power you gain from muscle, and if you neglect mental strength, that gives it the advantage over you. The premise of Nen is that not only do you produce excess raw life energy, you then bring it full circle by spending it as a type of energy with your brain to cause the functions the type of energy provides. By shaping circuits in your head, like the body structures Nen amplifies by being directed through, this is what can take your power to the next level, because you can add high concept rules with the full potential of your energy, instead of wasting stamina on blunt attacks. The first real fight we see in the world after being introduced to the power system is specifically about a spiky-haired Saiyan stand-in with what's physically the strongest type of power out there immediately getting wrecked by a guy whose might comes from intellect, because he neglected anything other than brute strength. The premise of this system is that body and mind complement each other, and neglecting less physical forms of strength gives them the upper hand. So given that Hunter x Hunter came out before the digital personal tech revolution that changed the world in the 2000s, back when computers and the web existed but society hadn't fully realized their potential, it made sense to write a world with a power system that could be completely revolutionized by realizing how its basis is in logic theory and algorithm design. As a game designer cued into the wider principles of the universe, Jing's special skill is that he realized you could exploit computer science to break Nen. He's somehow a legend with the respect of the tech branch of hunters. He coded a transportation system that can warp people across the planet, and he's got the ultimate level of a hunter's main skill, knowing how your prey will move. Because instead of focusing on making one specific prediction come true, he uses the the principles of truth tables to analyze the wider world and determine branching possibilities, keeping him from getting tripped up when not knowing which exact developments will happen, like what limits the other hunters in the series. People treat Nen script as an ancient or niche practice, but someone born with a sense to get how things connect could realize the applications of the ongoing advancements in computer theory. And that's how he was able to build the most advanced technology and application of aura we've ever seen. Even Nanika's actual ability is just doing something tedious with enough aura. This is the guy that exploited the brain's framework to make Kite such a broken ability he held off Pito and survived. In a way, Jing's use of computer theory with Nen and aura script is similar to how Taoism's connected logic gates and hexagrams were super relevant to the founding of the computer and software industries thousands of years down the line. And Taoism's the basis for Dragon Ball and Hunter x Hunter's power systems. In Taoism, generally, reality is determined by the logical activity produced by interactions between cycles of forces called Yin and Yang. At the highest level of cause and effect, these points of Yin and Yang that can relate to or contain other points of Yin and Yang determine the world, like how computer simulations are run on circuits of transistors. Qi is an energy substance hybrid that powers life forms. Unlike Yin and Yang, or the world they output, Qi is a stable representation of the chain reactions between the activity of that world and the cycles that cause them. That's why it's awkwardly in between energy and material. It acts as a sort of inverse and cushion against the otherwise mechanical causal forces that would tear anything delicate the ripples would make apart, like complex logical chains of activity within the world, including life. Each point of Yin and Yang that can interact with another is a cycle of some quantity of Yin or Yang, alternating between which one it contains, like phases of the moon. They have different rates, hierarchies, and relationships, and those relative differences are what the complex logical activity, the source code of our universe, comes from. But the general premise is that these two forces complement each other, rather than being full opposites, and produce the two characteristics the world needs to function. Yin is tied to complexity, like opportunities or the mind, whereas Yang is tied to impact, like stability or simple force. For simplicity's sake, in computer science terms, you could think of Yang as the on-state for a transistor, and Yin as the transistor itself, so ones and zeros. But whereas Dragon Ball removed Yin and Yang to focus on Qi, Hunter x Hunter brings back that dynamic in its power system, which represents the 6 states or whatnot, because they're two extremes of a cycle that produce each other with entering and exiting phases. But that relationship also sort of matches Gon and Ging. We don't know much about Dawn Freaks, but Gon and Ging both started on Whale Island, being much more like wild animals in a life-risking world way above ordinary standards and comforts. Gon and Ging both resemble whales themselves. They operate on a scale way larger than people living safe civilian lives, in terms of how significant the stuff is they deal with and how much of the world they treat as their backyards. And creatures higher up the food chain need more distance apart, so each of their territories has a stable supply of food within. When a carnivorous animal hunts, it leaves its young in their den to grow safe. And since Ging has been using his truth table observations to keep tabs on Gon and align different paths for his future depending on how he develop, he clearly cares about Gon's development, just in a way that more resembles animalistic characters like them, rather than ordinary humans. Ging probably would have dealt with threats to Gon like the fox bear did to intruders in the opening scene of the series, when Gon was introduced to that trait about fox bear parents in their territories, while he simultaneously learned about the existence of his father by some guy who just went to his father's territory. But what Ging seems to prioritize is that Gon grows into a strong and dependable person himself, rather than being happy but lacking any independence, like how somebody would raise their child if they cared about them more as a pet to feel happy from than that child's own well-being. The dynamic between Ging and Gon resembles the relationship between Yin and Yang, even extending to their own character traits and talents. So if their family produces alternating generations, like ferns, then maybe Dawn had an ancestor named Ding at some point. But since Ging clearly knows something personal about Dawn, it's possible the reason he's so committed to raising Gon to be the best he can is because their family are people who keep swimming into larger and larger seas, which carries risks. As generations pave the way, more of the family can come over, like the premise of the pioneers in the Black Whale. And once Gon caught up to Ging in the human world, we saw Ging start to depart for the Dark Continent. But Dawn has been stuck for hundreds of years on some patch of shore. If Ging is this family-oriented under the surface, it's possible he's hoping Gon could be his Yang and provide support so they can get far enough through their ancestors' path to meet Dawn so they can can rescue him. The idea behind their family could be that the freaks betray superficial societal conventions but are really there for each other in ways that count, like the Addams family. In this case, they'd be more like a pack of animals that all have their own broad territories but help each other out when it matters. It seems like Ging is the one who takes each step and then helps pull Gon up to be his support so he can keep progressing through deeper and deeper waters. And maybe he planned to have a child of his own for this purpose if it turns out that his parents died trying to trace Dawn's steps by themselves.